All right, there's the big news coming in on the accident which killed, the latest news coming in. A scoop on the Delhi BMW killer probe. Sources suggest when Delhi police asked accused Gagan Peeth Kaur on why she did not take them to a nearby hospital, because word is that both the injured were taken to a hospital which was 19 kilometers away from the accident site in Dhaulakua. She stated that she was in panic and she knew only this hospital as her kids were admitted there during COVID. The blood sample report with regard to allegations of intoxications is still awaited. All right, viewers, so that's the latest that we are getting in, news coming in. Of course, there has been a question that has been raised, especially where the family of the deceased is concerned, stating that the victim was actually taken to a hospital which was 19 kilometers away from the accident site. The accident occurred in Dhaulakua, and the person, Gagan Peeth, who was behind the wheels of the BMW car which crushed that motorcycle, killing the rider and the pillion, the wife of the rider, now critical, states that when she was questioned, of course, from the police, that why was the injured taken to a hospital which was 19 kilometers away from the accident site, she says that she was in a complete state of panic and did not know better. Her first reaction was to take the injured to a hospital which was 19 kilometers away, primarily because she only knew of this particular hospital as her children were admitted there during COVID. Having said that, the blood work of the person who was behind the wheel of the BMW, Gagan Peeth, is still awaited, especially when it comes to regards of allegations of intoxication. That blood work, viewers, is still awaited. I want to quickly cut across to my colleague Shivani Sharma, who's been tracking the case very closely. Shivani, what more can you add?
Preeti, the police is trying to verify whatever the accused has been saying about the accident, the circumstances in which this happened. The case has already been registered and the accused has been sent for a medical, after which she will be sent to the court, the Patiala House Court, where the legal team is already present. And we've been talking to the police and asking about the whole accident and what it looks like. The police says that there are two major points where the things went wrong. One was the negligible driving that caused this accident, the fatal accident for Navjot Singh. And the other thing was taking the victim to a very far away hospital. Why? Was this hospital owner known to this person, Gagan Peeth Kaur, who was driving the car? Police also said that the blood samples have already been taken and the report is awaited to check whether she was under the influence of any drug or any intoxication. But yes, this happens to be a case where rash driving has been registered as one of the points while the report has been registered against Gagan Peeth, and the investigations are further going on. Police says that they will be verifying what was the connection between the hospital owner and Gagan Peeth's family. Was she intoxicated or not? Why did she take them in a porter van, which was not in a condition for carrying these people? So a lot of evidence has been already collected. The facts are being corroborated. The legal team of Gagan Peeth is awaiting at the Patiala House Court, and the police has also clarified, Preeti, that they are not seeking police custody as of now, because whatever statements they wanted from Gagan Peeth, they've already collected and now they will be working on them.
Shivani, what more can you add? Because Navjot is a senior finance ministry official who was killed in this accident. His son has raised certain questions regarding why she was taken, why did the accused take his father and his mother to a hospital which was over 19 kilometers away. There are also allegations, Shivani, which are being made on account of whether or not there was a connection between that particular hospital where the accused took the victims to at all. And this is something that the family is also raising as a concern.
Certainly, Preeti. See, the big question is that why did this family take why did they take Navjot and his wife to a hospital that was 19 kilometers away from this point where the accident happened from Dhaulakua? There were more than 7 hospitals in the close vicinity, for that matter, within the range of 5 kilometers. There was the base hospital to which they could have rushed that after the accident. But why did they choose this particular hospital? To which police says that in the interrogation, Gagan Peeth says that she was confused, she was in a shock, and she had an experience with this particular hospital because her children were treated during COVID in this hospital. So she chose to take Navjot Singh and his wife to this particular hospital, even though it was 19 kilometers far. The son and the family of Navjot, they say that if Navjot was given immediate medical relief or a help, he could have survived. So this is a big charge on Gagan Peeth, that why did this family choose to take them to a hospital which was known to them? And police is also verifying the documents to check whether this hospital owner is known to this family. Is there a connection or a relation between the Gagan Peeth Makkad family and this particular hospital owner, the New Life Hospital, where they have taken Navjot? So a lot of questions remain unanswered, Preeti. The police is interrogating, and though they are not asking for police custody as what has been informed by the police, now they have taken her for a medical, and after which she'll be produced in the court itself, today itself.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Shivani. We're going to continue to come back to you for more updates on the story. With that, viewers, I want to quickly shift focus to a big development that came in from the court that passed an interim order on the Waqf Amendment. Until and unless, of course, the case is heard over time. So an interim order has been passed today. And the top court, the apex court, stayed key provisions of the Waqf Amendment Act until petitions challenging the amendment's validity are finally decided. But it did not put a stay on registration of Waqf. A bench of Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gawai, Justice Augustine George Massey, passed the interim order that paused, basically, provisions related to who can create a Waqf and who can adjudicate disputes of encroachment. To simplify, the order, which is once again, viewers, interim till the case is heard out. Our report.
The Supreme Court of India on Monday declined to stay the Waqf Act 2025 in its entirety. Instead, it put on hold some of its contentious provisions. The court put on hold the provision that a person should be practicing Islam for 5 years as per Section 3R to create a Waqf. It said that the provision will be stayed till rules are framed on determining whether a person is a practitioner of Islam. The apex court further stayed a provision which empowered the collector to determine whether a property declared as Waqf is government property and pass orders. The CJI-led branch also said that permitting an executive officer or collector to adjudicate property rights violates the separation of powers, and it has put a bar on changing revenue records. The court held that the Central Waqf Council shall not consist of more than 4 non-Muslim members and a state Waqf board not more than 3. The court directed that ex officio officers in Waqf boards must be from the Muslim community.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आज एक बात तो स्पष्ट कर दी है कि पूरे एक्ट को स्टे करने का आधार नहीं है।
इस बात को भी इस पे भी स्टे किया गया है कि जो ओवरराइडिंग पावर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर को किसी भी वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी को डिसाइड करने के लिए दिए गए थे, उन पर भी रोक लगी है। तो इन सब बातों को हम लोग वेलकम करते हैं।
While the opposition welcomed the Supreme Court's interim order on the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, the BJP claimed it a positive development.
हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जल्द से जल्द एक फाइनल डिसीजन लेने के लिए जो भी जरूरी इक़दाम करना है वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट करे।
खुश हूं कि माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय ने उन तमाम बिंदुओं पे बहुत विस्तार से नजर भी डाली और कुछ बुनियादी जो पॉइंट्स थे उन पर रोक भी लगा दी। तो मैं बधाई देश भर के उन लोगों को दूंगा जो लड़ रहे थे इस लड़ाई को।
जजमेंट को स्पिरिट और जो पूरा संपूर्ण ऑर्डर का भाव को मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारे लिए, देश के लिए बहुत अच्छा जजमेंट आया।
Earlier in May, after hearing arguments from both sides for 3 straight days, on 22nd May, the Supreme Court reserved its interim order on the Act. The petitions filed challenged the constitutionality of the changes made to the Waqf law by amendments passed by Parliament in April this year. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, viewers, in midst of all of this, both the petitioners and the government supporters are claiming that this is a win-win situation for them. So who really has the upper hand? And once again, before we get into this debate, to make it clear, this was just an interim order, viewers, that the top court of the country has passed while it continues to hear the case. I want to cut across this evening to Aman Sinha, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. Sanjay Hegde, would you want to go first on what is your opinion in the legal interpretation of what the top court said today?
No, the legal interpretation is that notwithstanding a presumption of constitutionality, the top court has found certain provisions which it prima facie says that please put them on hold till we examine the matter fully. Now, just to explain, any act made by Parliament is presumed to be constitutional. You can challenge it in a court. The court will start with the initial presumption that, look, if Parliament has done it, they will have the powers. It may not necessarily infringe on fundamental rights. So the petitioners have to make out a case for an interim order of stay. So the fact that certain provisions have been found prima facie at least to possibly lack competence or something of that kind shows that the Supreme Court believes that there is material in the objections which the petitioners have raised.
Okay, Aman Sinha, would you want to weigh in on how are you going to legally interpret what the top court says? Because there is a point that Sanjay Hegde is making that prima facie the court has found that some of the provisions are deeply problematic and those have been stayed. Once, of course, the court hears the case.
Preeti, first of all, what court has said categorically is that there was a prayer to stay the provisions of the entire statute. That prayer has been rejected and the Supreme Court has very categorically stated that no case for blanket stay of this sort has been made out, and in fact any case for such blanket stay of the entire act has been rejected. This is the foremost point. Secondly, prima facie, as you very correctly pointed out, Preeti, this is an interim order, but even by a prima facie examination, it seems that the legislative competence of the Parliament has also been exceeded and approved by the Supreme Court. Otherwise, it could have been rejected on the first look itself. Thereafter, whatever other balancing measures that the court has adopted, it is only to they are mostly procedural rather than substantive. For instance, as you were saying that the provision of 5 years practicing Islam, that particular provision has been stayed because of paucity of exact rules which would determine when a person has adopted the religion of Islam, etc. So therefore, most of the provisions or stays which have been given on certain provisions of the Waqf Act, they are mostly procedural in nature and not substantive per se. And the broader substantive assertion or what emerges from the court's order is that there is no blanket stay as was sought by the petitioners in this case.
Sanjay Hegde, would you see that? Because the government, in its judgment is looking at this as a win because there was no outright rejection as elucidated by Mr. Aman Sinha?
Well, on a lighter note, Preeti, Professor Mark Galanter of the University of Wisconsin once said that in a court, its idea of justice sometimes is that when two people are fighting over a 100-rupee note, to tear it into two and give one half to each person. So if both parties are equally satisfied or equally dissatisfied, the court often it's often believed that the court has done a careful balancing act. Here, the court specifically uses the word that while the prayer for stay of impugned act is rejected, however, while doing so, in order to protect the interest of all parties and to balance equities during the pendency of this batch of matters, we issue the following directions. So what the court says is that, look, we normally don't stay statutes and we can't just blanket stay everything. Therefore, let us protect the status quo. You say that there are no rules to determine how exactly somebody has been practicing Islam from what period of time, whether it's right, wrong, and all that. We'll see how it works out. The proof of the pudding will lie in the eating later on. For the moment, we are staying some of the obviously problematic provisions. There were provisions which sort of may have ensured that on the Waqf boards, the majority could possibly be non-Muslims. The court has Muslim members. The CEO of the Waqf board will, unless there are extreme circumstances, normally have to be a Muslim, and so on and so forth. The court has done a very careful balancing act. I think it's not a question of who won, who lost currently. What has happened is that an effort to run roughshod has been shown some breaks currently.
Aman Sinha, because there's something in what Sanjay Hegde is saying, because the sheer fact, what looks like a really balanced judgment which keeps both parties happy, because very rarely do you see both the petitioners and supporters of the government and the amendment coming out and saying the court has spoken for us today. And it's happened. So interimly, once, of course, the matter has to be heard. So we need to look at how the case proceeds. But interimly, at least both sides are seemingly happy.
Preeti, that does happen sometimes with interim orders, and because each and every issue still is, subject matter of the final adjudication by the Supreme Court. But at an interim stage, I can tell you, para 209 of the judgment, I have it in front of me, and it says that in totality of circumstances, we do not find that any case is made out to stay the provisions of the entire statute. The prayer for stay of the impugned act is therefore rejected. Now, there are some of the provisions, as Sanjay was also saying, which have been, for instance, so that, possession is maintained over properties where people are in possession till the adjudication of the disputes. So therefore, some protection has been provided till the final adjudication. Similarly, no third party rights could be created. So this is a usual status quo order sometimes when it is given because, when an issue of this nature comes before court takes a balancing view when the adjudication is going to take some time. But my point is, Preeti, that most of these measures which have been deployed by the court or stay wherever of whichever provisions have been given, those are the provisions where there is some procedural or technical lacunae due to which this stay is given, rather than, saying that it anywhere militates with constitutional provisions or is unconstitutional. In fact, on the contrary, Preeti, the 3-4 provisions which have been stayed, apart from that, large number of other sections were also examined. In fact, all the sections, wherever the petitioners argued that there is a case for stay here, all those sections were examined in detail. They have been dealt with in detail, and the prayer for interim stay with respect to those sections, whether it is work by user, whether it is applicability of Limitation Act, etc., they were all prima facie rejected by the court.
Sanjay Hegde, the sheer fact that A, there was no outright rejection, B, some of the very contentious provisions of the amendment have not been stayed. Do you think it's paving the way, what many say, for the Uniform Civil Code?
No, the Uniform Civil Code is a different matter altogether. That is largely with regard to matters of marriage, divorce, succession. If your question is, does this interim order foreshadow what the court thinks in terms of charitable bequests or bequests which will go on for eternity, like in the case of a waqf. I should not make any such presumption, because, as Aman said, a lot of interim orders are essentially to protect what the status quo currently is, till the matters can be finally determined. You see, there were many provisions which allowed the collector to simply decide that something was a waqf property or not. The court has said, no, you can't do it. You can't do that would violate the separation of powers. Claims would have to be decided by independent bodies, including the waqf tribunals. And so I would think that this matter will have further ramifications when it is finally heard. For the moment, suffice it to say, the expansive expansion of the law that the administration has wanted has been curtailed by the courts. And there is plenty in this rather detailed interim order which will keep executive overreach under strict control.
And Aman Sinha, wasn't that one of the primary motives in any case? Yes, you have some who say that there is no outright rejection. Some of the contentious points have not been stayed. But when it comes down to executive overreach, that in itself would be stemmed by the interim order.
No, Preeti, in fact, there is no executive overreach. And if there had been an executive overreach, it should have been recorded somewhere in the judgment. Judgment, in fact, goes on to reject the prayer of stay which was made by the petitioners. Therefore, there is no case of executive overreach. As I was telling you, because all the issues are still subject matter of final adjudication and determination before the Supreme Court, in order to balance certain rights of contesting parties, they have given some certain, status quo under certain provisions. However, most of the provisions, they have declined to give any stay. Preeti, you would note and remember that the entire act and in fact all the provisions were challenged. And in fact, later on, court went on to say that we will examine all the contentions which are given by the petitioners. And most of the provisions have withstood this test at a prima facie stage. And I would say that it very clearly indicates that A, there was no case of blanket stay, B, that the parliament had the legislative competence to legislate on this issue, and C, that it validates the Act's objectives of transparency, efficiency, and prevention of misuse.
Sanjay Hegde, would you want to weigh in on this, because I need to quickly get into a news break
on these waqf properties?
Right.
Well, the law in effect has been defanged. That is where I would read the order. The most obnoxious portions of the law, the ones which were heavily contested, particularly allowing the collector to just declare something to be government property and forgetting it to be a waqf, all that has been stayed. The longer battle remains ahead. So I would not want to get into further premature adjudication at this point.
All right. That's, final point, Aman Sinha, if you want to come in on this, because the sheer point of the amendment, the law being defanged, especially in at least one of the most contentious issues, which Sanjay Hegde is speaking of, that in effect means a stemming of executive overreach.
No, Preeti, what I would say that after a prima facie examination, the Supreme Court has appears to have upheld the constitutional validity at a prima facie stage on a prima facie view of the matter. Not only that, on a prima facie view of the matter, the court has also rejected the large number of stay prayers which were there with all the provisions of this Amendment Act, and only in a few provisions wherever there were procedural lacunae or omissions, or where rules would not have been framed as of now, the court has stepped in and said that all right, you frame the rules, but this does not militate with any constitutional provisions, and has withstood the legal scrutiny at a prima facie stage. It in fact goes on to validate the government's intent, effort and objective of making the Waqfs more transparent, more accountable and in consonance with law, which would prevent any misuse of the Waqf properties by vested interest groups.
All right, I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining me. Thank you there. Once again, viewers, this is just an interim order.
Thank you.
The case continues to be heard, and we're going to keep a keen eye on all developments. While there's one section which seems to suggest that the top court has defanged the law or the amendment, there is one which says that no, there's no outright rejection. This actually upholds the parliament and the law. With that, I want to quickly dip into the latest news break that is coming in, and all of this at the back of India versus Pakistan match at the Asia Cup yesterday. And latest coming in, Team India skipper Surya Kumar Yadav is unlikely to shake hands with Pakistan in the next game as well. All right, heads roll in Pakistan over Team India's snub. Pakistan has sacked its director of international cricket. All right, so that's the latest that is coming in. I have Nitin Srivastav live with me on this. Nitin, what more can you add?
Right after yesterday's game, where Surya Kumar Yadav opted not to shake hand with Pakistan captain Salman Agha, and that episode is getting so much attention and controversy getting up. But one more thing, which is I believe is almost certain that this Sky is not going to shake hand. If there is any other match with Pakistan, once again, he will not be shaking hand with Pakistan. But, as of now, Pakistan is crying foul. They are actually going to ACC, they are going to ICC to remove Andy Pycroft as a match referee. They are actually, saying that if he'll not be sacked, he'll not be, asked to leave Asia Cup, will not going to play. But as of now, there's nothing serious. And as far as the Team India is concerned and Sky is concerned, sources close to the development are telling India today that there will be no consequences and there will be no step taken against India or even the Surya Kumar Yadav. So as of now, the only thing is that Pakistan is just trying to get some TRP, some numbers to be in talk. That is the only thing. Pakistan Cricket Board and ACC, Asian Cricket Council Chairman, Mohsin Naqvi, he is trying to get hype out of this. India always wanted to win this game, and that is what they have done. They wanted to win this game. They wanted to show their solidarity towards the victim of Balgam terror attack. They wanted to dedicate that win.
But Nitin, why has Pakistan sacked their international cricket director's operation?
Oh, basically, they are saying, sources are saying that, the handle that. Exactly. So that is why they have suspended him. And, there is no official confirmation, but sources are telling us that they have taken a step ahead, that, suspending the international director of cricket of Pakistan. So that, they can actually give some kind of message towards to creating fraternity. But they're also saying, that as of now, Pakistan is ready to take all necessary steps against India and the Indian team, even if it comes to ACC, even if it comes to ICC, because all the match referees are appointed by ICC. It is ACC tournament, Asian Cricket Council tournament, but it is an international cricket tournament. So that is why match referees are appointed by ICC, the International Cricket Council. So that is why they are, just trying to, get some hype and, get some numbers. But as of now, my sources are telling me that no step will be taken against India, no step will be taken against, Surya Kumar Yadav, whether he has, given a statement about...
All right, Nitin, appreciate you joining us. Now, after reaching out for peace in Manipur, Prime Minister Modi was in Assam, and there it was all about politics. Assam goes to election early next year, and the Prime Minister raised a very emotive issue, practically building the poll narrative for the state of Assam. Bahari, infiltrators, Ghuspeti. Take a look.
Prime Minister was in Assam for his big Vikas March on Sunday. He inaugurated and laid the foundation stones for multiple projects in Assam worth more than 19,000 crore rupees. He also launched a slew of attacks on Congress from the same podium.
जब कांग्रेस सत्ता में थी तो पूरा देश आतंक से लहूलुहान होता था। कांग्रेस चुपचाप खड़ी रहती थी। कांग्रेस के लोग हमारी सेना के बजाय आतंकियों को पालने वालों के एजेंडे को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। पाकिस्तान का झूठ कांग्रेस का एजेंडा बन जाता है।
Prime Minister was all praise for Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma for taking strong action to evict illegal immigrants. He also asserted that the BJP will never allow land grab by intruders.
हेमंता जी के नेतृत्व में असम में लाखों बीघा जमीन घुसपैठियों से मुक्त की जा चुकी है। वहां के नौजवान अब कृषि सैनिक बनकर खेती कर रहे हैं। यानी जो जमीन कभी घुसपैठियों के कब्जे में थी, आज वही जमीन असम के कृषि विकास का नया केंद्र बन गई है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded to ongoing abusive politics debate engaged by Congress by invoking his non-political mother and slammed the Grand Old Party for its opposition to Bharat Ratna for Assamese musical legend Bhupen Hazarika.
कांग्रेस पार्टी के अध्यक्ष ने कहा था कि मोदी नाचने गाने वालों को भारत रत्न दे रहा है। मैं तो भगवान शिव का भक्त हूं, सारा जहर निगल देता हूं।
Are Modi's big attacks setting the stage for BJP's Assam campaign for next year's polls? Bureau Report, India Today.
Yes, allow me to get in Kaushik Dekar, Managing Editor, India Today magazine, to give us some perspective on what Prime Minister Modi said in Assam. Kaushik, welcome to The Point. Kaushik, for somebody who's been studying Assam for many, many years, Ghuspeti, infiltrators is a highly emotive narrative. Do you see the Prime Minister building on the same for the upcoming Assam elections next year?
Of course, Preeti, thanks. In fact, let me use the term chronology. If you look at the union government, in April this year, they passed the Immigration and Foreigners Act. Then in August, during Independence Day, the Prime Minister mentioned about a demography mission. The Immigration and Foreigners Act came into effect this September 1, and it gives sweeping power to the union government in terms of detection and deportation of illegal immigrants. And you see what is happening in Assam. There is a new strategy, not just in Assam, but across the country, of pushbacking of illegal immigrants, basically the Bangladeshis. So this narrative that the Prime Minister tried to set, it's not just for Assam, it's also for West Bengal. And in the form of SIR, which is happening in Bihar, a new form of citizenship test is forming. You can call it a kind of NRC, and it goes well with the BJP's narrative for last 11 years. The illegal infiltration is a very core issue of BJP's political discourse, and not just in Assam, even in Manipur, the Prime Minister mentioned about illegal immigration, and it was at the core of Manipur conflict last year, if you in 2023, because many of the Manipuri people, especially the Métis, they believe that illegal immigration from Myanmar is actually changing the demography. And the Prime Minister also, in Assam also, he mentioned the same thing. In Bengal also, the BJP is creating the same narrative that illegal immigration from Bangladesh, Myanmar, it's creating a threat to the Indian demography. So I see it as in a chronological order that the government is forming up its narrative on illegal infiltration, and Prime Minister Modi is the biggest spokesperson for that.
But Kaushik, correct me if I'm wrong. Even the last election where West Bengal was concerned, and even Assam, a lot of that poll plank for the BJP rested on the Bahari narrative, the infiltrators. And of course, you had Mamata Banerjee who turned it around to regional pride. But having said that, this time around, where Assam is concerned, you have a new Congress party president that comes in the form of Gaurav Gogoi. Does Congress have an answer to at least the poll narrative that the BJP is pitching on?
Congress doesn't have a direct answer, because if it opposes that narrative, it is likely to hurt the Assamese sentiment, because it's a very emotive issue in Assam. And it's a fact that illegal infiltration from Bangladesh, it has changed the demography in Assam. Nobody can deny that. But having said that, if the Congress opposes what the Prime Minister is trying to say, then it looks like they're supporting the illegal infiltrators. And if they do not oppose it, their core vote bank at the moment is the Bangla-speaking Muslims of immigrant origin. So they cannot hurt that also. So the Congress is caught in a trap where if they oppose also, they might lose some votes. If they support also, they might lose some votes. So that's why they're walking a very thin line in terms of when it comes to talking about illegal infiltration in Assam.
All right, Kaushik Dekar, appreciate you joining us. We're going to get you back on the show. Thank you. With that, viewers, I want to quickly shift focus. And this is fabulous news that has come in from England. You have the Indian women pugilists striking gold in the World Boxing Championship in Liverpool, adding another feather in the cap to the country's rich boxing legacy. Jasmine Lomboria joined an elite list of Indian boxers when she won the gold medal in the 57-kilo category in the World Boxing Championship. Mind you, what is most interesting in all of this, viewers, is that Jasmine defeated the sitting silver Olympic medalist from Paris. Now, she hails from Bhiwani, the town that has produced several boxers. 24-year-old Jasmine comes from a family that has wrestlers, boxers, but is the first girl from her family to become a sports person. Jasmine came into the limelight when she secured the bronze medal in 2022 Commonwealth Games. But in 2025, has that been the golden year for Jasmine? Because in Paris, it's not that she didn't go for the Olympics. She did go to the Paris Olympics, but at that time, things didn't quite click for her. But she's come back defeating the silver medalist in the Olympics. Now, before the World Championships gold, she had won the top prize in the World Boxing Cup in Astana in June 2025. On the other hand, there's Meenakshi Hooda, once again from Haryana, creating history, where she has won the gold in the 48-kilogram category in the World Boxing Championship on debut. It's been a tough journey also for Meenakshi, who hails from Rudki town in Rohtak. Her father, Sri Krishan Hooda, is a rickshaw driver. Despite opposition from her father, Meenakshi became the first athlete in the family, and so is Jasmine. Even though, Jasmine has a legacy of sports persons. Her uncles are pugilists, boxers. Her grandfather was a very, very famous wrestler in Haryana, but she's always led a very sheltered life until and unless her family greenlit her dreams of wanting to represent India. And how has she done so? Doing India proud, coming in from Haryana. Joining me right now is Jasmine's coach, Sandeep Lomboria, and her mother, Joginder. They both join us. सबसे पहले बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ संदीप जी, आपकी ट्रेनिंग रंग लाई, बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है दोनों के लिए. आप कोच हैं, जोगिंदर जी जो उनकी माँ हैं, उनको जो, क्योंकि जैस्मिन पहली लड़की है उनकी फैमिली से जो स्पोर्ट्स में गई है और भारत का और उनका नाम रोशन किया है. बहुत बहुत बधाई.
बिल्कुल, आप सही कह रहे हैं, और बधाई के हम दोनों ही नहीं, पूरा देश बधाई का पात्र है. और सभी की उम्मीद थी, सभी की आशीर्वाद था और जैस्मिन की मेहनत थी, तो आज वो रंग लाई है.
संदीप जी, अगर हरियाणा में कहें तो कहेंगे छोरी ने लट गाड़ दिया, पर कोई कुछ पता था कि जो सिटिंग पेरिस की सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट ओलंपिक में है उसको हराएगी जैस्मिन?
मैं आपको बिल्कुल फ्रैंकली बता रहा हूँ कि ना, मुझे 1% भी डाउट नहीं था कि वो हार जाएगी जैस्मिन. मुझे 100% श्योर था कि वो सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट को आराम से मार देगी.
संदीप जी, बहुत मेहनत लगती है, कोच की मेहनत लगती है, फैमिली की मेहनत लगती है, खिलाड़ी की मेहनत लगती है। कितनी मेहनत करी जैस्मिन ने ये पाने के लिए?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, मैं पूरा विश्वास था, क्योंकि है ना पेरिस जैस्मिन भी गई थी पेरिस में, बट पेरिस में किसी कारणवश उसका वो नहीं अच्छे से परफॉर्म कर पाई और अपने पहली बाउट में बाहर हो गई थी। बट वहाँ पे उसने मुझे अभी उसकी जो चीज़ अभी उसने काफ़ी इम्प्रूवमेंट किया अपने ट्रेनिंग में, और अभी इस चीज़ पे विश्वास था कि अभी चाहे ये सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट है, गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट भी आती तो भी वो गोल्ड उसको मार ली, और गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट भी आई हुई थी, वो क्वार्टर फाइनल में हार गई। जिससे हारी है उसको जैस्मिन ने सेमीफाइनल में हराया है, जिससे गोल्ड टोक्यो ओलंपिक की गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हारी थी।
संदीप जी, आप बता रहे हैं जब पेरिस ओलंपिक गई थी, बाहर निकल गई थी, थोड़ा मनोबल टूट गया था, कॉन्फिडेंस थोड़ा शेकअप हो गया था। कितनी मेहनत की जैस्मिन ने इस मुकाम तक पहुंचने के लिए?
मैं मेहनत की बात करें तो मैं भी खुद भी इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर रहा हूँ और हमने भी मेहनत करके देख रखी है। और जो मेहनत उसने की है तो एज कम्पेयर टू गर्ल्स, तो गर्ल्स में मुझे नहीं लगता कोई इतनी मेहनत करता होगा। हाँ, तो उसने लड़कों के बराबर मेहनत की है। हम उसके पार्टनर भी लड़के ही रहते थे मैक्सिमम, और लड़कियां उसके लेवल से थोड़ी सी डाउन रहती थी, तो हम ये रहता था लड़कों के साथ ही कराएं, लड़कों को मारेगी तो लड़कियों को आराम से मारेगी, तो हमेशा लड़कों के साथ ही की है उसने ट्रेनिंग। और जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, मेरे बड़े भाई हैं प्रविंदर, जैस्मिन के चाचा हैं वो भी, तो हम दोनों ने, वो रेलवे में हैं, सीटीआई के पद पे हैं और वहाँ पे बॉक्सिंग कोच भी हैं जयपुर रेलवे में। तो हम दोनों ने हम दोनों इंटरनेशनल में जो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, नेशनल में हमारे जो एक्सपीरियंस है, तो हमने उसको वैसे ही पहले ही उन चीज़ों के बारे में सब कुछ बताया है, और उसको ऑलरेडी हर चीज़ों की पहले पहले ही बताया है कि हाँ भाई, आपको यहाँ पे ये दिक्कत आने वाली है, आएगी, आपको उसको ऐसे हैंडल करना है, आपको यहाँ पे ये दिक्कत आएगी, इस लेवल पे ये दिक्कत आएगी, आपको उसको ऐसे हैंडल करना है। और सबसे बड़ी बात, जैस्मिन ने उन चीज़ों को अपने अंदर ढाला है, अपने गेन किया है और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करके दिखाया है।
संदीप जी, कोई बात हुई जैस्मिन से जब वो जीत के आई? क्योंकि एक तो आपने बताया कि बहुत मेहनत की, दूसरी भिवानी से आती हैं, क्योंकि भिवानी बॉक्सिंग हब कहलाता है, एक ऐसी फैमिली से आती हैं, आप उनके अंकल हैं, कोच भी हैं, और आप खुद एक बॉक्सर रहे हैं। जो जैस्मिन के पिताजी हैं वो एक बहुत नामी रेसलर रहे हैं, पर पहली लड़की है जो उस फैमिली से स्पोर्ट्स में गई है। पर क्या बात हुई, बातचीत हुई उससे, क्या कहा उसने आपको जीतने के बाद?
जी, वो बहुत भावुक थी और उसने बस यही कहा कि मैं जीत की चाचा, बस। और है ना, वो जो मूवमेंट्स होते हैं वो अलग ही होते हैं मैम। हम किसी चीज के लिए पूरे समर्पित होकर काम करें और वो चीज भगवान हमें उस चीज में सक्सेस देता है, तो वो मूवमेंट्स ही अलग होते हैं। बहुत खुशी थी और मैं भी बहुत खुश था दुनिया जीतने के बाद। और अभी हमारे बस सिर्फ टारगेट 2028 लॉस एंजल्स ओलंपिक रह गया है, और वहाँ पे मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, अभी हमारे 4 मेडल आए हैं। वैसे 4 मेडल्स में से जो ओलंपिक वेट कैटेगरी है वो ओनली, देखो मैडम क्या होता है, वैसे तो वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप के अंदर 20 वेट कैटेगरी थी, 10 मेंस में, 10 वीमेंस में, और उनमें से जो ओलंपिक की वेट कैटेगरी है वो 13 ही है, 13 है। और 13 में से सिर्फ जो ओलंपिक जो भी मेडल आए हैं, 4 में से उन 13 में जो ओलंपिक वेट कैटेगरी है ओनली जैस्मिन का है। जो बाकी 3 मेडल हैं वो भी हमारे लिए बहुत महत्व रखते हैं, बट ओलंपिक वेट कैटेगरी में नहीं आया जैस्मिन को छोड़ के किसी का।
संदीप जी, जरा मैं जैस्मिन की मदर से बात करना चाहूंगी। जोगिंदर जी, नमस्कार मैम। पहले हरियाणा में कहा जाता था बॉक्सिंग में ना जाएं छोरियां, क्योंकि नाक वाक टूट गया तो शादी कौन करेगा। पर आपकी लड़की ने तो मैंने जो पहले कहा था, हरियाणा में कहते हैं ना, लट गाड़ दिया, वही कर दिया। कैसे किया, कितनी मेहनत लगी?
6-7 साल हो गए थे मेहनत करते हैं, और आज उसको वो मेहनत का फल मिल गया, वो अच्छा है।
लड्डू वड्डू बांटे कि नहीं अभी गांव में?
हाँ जी, मैं उसी दिन मिठाई बांट दी थी, सबने, सबको खुशी हुई, अच्छा हुआ रात को मिठाई बच्चों ने खाई थी और उछल कूद की बेटी जी खुशी पे मेडल लाने की खुशी पे।
जीतने के बाद क्या बातचीत हुई बेटी से?
मेरी सब बेटी से अभी बात नहीं, वो जैसा ज्यादा थोड़ी वो बिजी चल रही है, तो इसलिए मैंने जब फ्री होने के बाद ही बात करूंगी उससे, अभी बात नहीं हुई।
अभी तक नहीं हुई बात?
नहीं, एक बार बस उसी दिन रात को 2 मिनट के लिए बस वो थी, फिर उसने, मैंने बोली मैं अब थक रही हूँ, फिर मैंने उससे कहा ठीक है बेटा आराम।
तो क्या बोली जैस्मिन तब?
बस यही कहा था, वो बोली मम्मी मैं अभी थक गई हूँ, और उसके बाद मैं अब थोड़ा आराम से, मैंने भी यही कहा था बेटा चलो फिर बात करेंगे, अब आराम कर लो, फिर ठीक है।
नहीं नहीं, आराम तो करना चाहिए, जो मेडल लेके आई है। पर जोगिंदर जी, आपकी पूरी फैमिली स्पोर्ट्स से आती है, पर ये पहली छोरी है आपके परिवार से जो स्पोर्ट्स में गई है। हरियाणा में वही बॉक्सिंग में कहा जाता है कि लड़कियों को नहीं जाना चाहिए, नाक वाक टूट गया, शादी वादी कौन करेगा, तो कैसे भेजा लड़की को?
हाँ जी, फैमिली ने, पहले तो लड़कियों का हमारे घर में भी बढ़ावा नहीं था, ये पहली ही लड़की है जो इसको सपोर्ट किया, और सपोर्ट किया तो आज उसको यह रिजल्ट दिया, वही बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया और बेटी गोल्ड मेडल लेके आए।
चलिए जोगिंदर जी बहुत धन्यवाद, संदीप जी बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत बधाई। जैस्मिन और लड़कियों को प्रेरित करे हरियाणा में और पूरे देश में। बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप हमसे जुड़े।